This video is to show you how to use CloudExtend when uploading a new purchase order. To start this video off, I'm going to show you what fields you will need in order for you to create a brand new purchase order template. So a brand new user, you're going to go through the option of selecting either create new records or search and download. When you select either one of these options, it's going to walk you through a 3-step process. The first step is to select the record type. So in this case, it's the purchase order. The second step is to select the create results table fields. So you will select the fields that are appropriate as well as mandatory for your purchase order record type creation. And then the last step is going to be where you would upload and load the template onto your worksheet. So for demo purposes, I already have a pre-created purchase order template. So I'm going to go to where it says start with a template and select the option where it says create new record with a template. And I'm going to go through and search for my purchase order, or I can actually just type ahead inside the search bar right here and type out purchase order. And you can see that I have 2 purchase order templates. I'm going to select the first one. I'm going to click on edit. And once I edit this, it's going to load the page where it offers you the ability to select the fields that are either mandatory or required on your purchase order form in NetSuite. And you can also search for it. So if there's going to be fields that you need to add into your template, you can type ahead. And as you can see, it's search for tran ID and tran date. And then if you want to scroll through this, you can do multi-select as well. But because for demo purposes, I already added all this information onto my template, I'm just going to click add fields, and it's going to bring me into my template designer. And to start things off, you can see that I have the internal ID, and this is actually your template editor. So you can actually rearrange the fields to your liking. But for here, you can see the first field is the internal ID, which is going to be embedded throughout all of your templates. So when you do create a brand new template, you do not need to search for the internal ID. This is automatically embedded onto your template. The tran ID is going to be in reference to the purchase order number. And then the entity is in reference to the vendor. Location is going to be the location field, and the approval status is something that you would add onto your template if you are a manager that you need to approve of this particular purchase order. And then at the item level, you can see that it has pretty much the standard fields that you would see at an item sublist. And that's going to be the item, quantity, and rate. And you can also add in more fields or add in custom fields that you do not see here. This is just my example to show you how you can start by building out your purchase order template. So now that I have all of the fields here, I can select continue, select yes. And you can name the template as well as provide a description of the template. The reason why you want to add a description is to provide some information as to what fields are going to be on this purchase order template, as well as to distinguish the other purchase order templates that you have on the list. So now that I have the name and the description, I'm going to select save and enter data. And now you can see that the template was successfully saved. And you can see that the template has been loaded onto the left-hand side right here on this sheet. And for demo purposes, I already have the purchase order data loaded on my purchase order tab right here. So if I go into the PO tab, you can see that I've filled out the items within column H. I've also added my quantity and also the rate associated for all of the items. So that will equate to my amount when I have the rate times the quantity. And then when it comes to the entity, I'm going to fill that in. So I'm going to type in ABC. And as you can see, it auto-filled and populated the rest of the value for me. So if I repeat the rows, this will let the system know that I'm going to upload one purchase order for the vendor of ABC. Location, I am going to go into my cell operation at the bottom right here. And it's going to allow me to select which location. And then for the approval status, I'm going to select approve. So now that everything is filled out, I'm going to go to upload to NetSuite, go down to upload records. And in just a sec, you're going to see that it's going to read the table from cell A3 to J22. And once it's ready and completed, it's going to return the internal ID in green in column B. And once the internal ID is returned, we're going to use that to refresh and return the data for the transaction ID in column C. All right, so as you can see, the internal ID has returned back in green here. So if I go to reload records and do a reload record button, it's going to return the transaction ID in column C. And I can use that transaction ID to run a global search to see if the upload of the purchase order was successful inside of NetSuite. So as we have the purchase order here, I'm going to copy this and go back into NetSuite. So now that we're in NetSuite, I'm going to do a global search for the purchase order. And as you can see, the purchase order has returned as a result. I'm going to select it, drill down into it, and just confirm that everything has been uploaded successfully. So as you can see, the vendor was uploaded successfully and with the correct vendor. The transaction date was successful and correct. And the transaction date is going to be the PO number right here, and the approved status is approved. And if I go down to the bottom where the item is, all the items I've loaded is correct, and the quantity is correct as well as the rate and the amount associated with the quantity times the rate. So now that if you want to get more information about the upload, we can go into System Informations, go to System Notes. So System Notes will let you know who set the operation and upload, as well as under what context. So in this case, it's SOAP Web Services, what type of operations. In this case, it's going to be create, and it's going to set for all of these fields with the new value we have uploaded through CloudExtend. This concludes our video on how to use CloudExtend when uploading a new purchase order. If you need further support, please visit our support site at support.cloudextend.io.